Well, good morning and welcome to the Commscope webinar. Thank you for joining us so much. We have some great speakers today from the Commscope team, all technical sales and operations people who will be able to explain to you about the future for the connectability of our life. It's such an important element of living today. Commscope believes that the next generation of networks will demand new levels of reach and response. Connectivity and very low latency requirements are transforming the performance requirements that will match, and we need to be able to match the connectivity and the expectations of connection in our lifestyle. With the introduction of new 5G high-speed networks and new developments for our infrastructure communication and transmissions of data is going to be very, very important. I'm sure you all agree that there is nothing worse than a slow internet connection. In the last few months, since we've been more working from home and having more need to be communicating with voice over IP, video communications, I'm really surprised at the number of people I speak to that say, I'd rather work from home because my internet's faster than it is at my office. And this is just becoming a norm today where we need more, where we need more connection or connectability in every scope of our life. The Internet of Things definitely, or the revolution of the Internet of Things, is definitely going to change the way we live and the way we work and the way we connect with data. So the organizations need to be built on different types of networks today. A chain is as strong as its weakest link, and so we can have the backbone of really fast connectivity, but if the infrastructure within our building or within our home, the hardware that is working to connect with that technology is not up to the same speed, then we have a problem. And the guys at Commscope understand this more than all of us, and I look forward to hearing what they have to present with regard to the connection of our life. And so Commscope, welcome. Thanks for your efforts today. Joining us is Mr. Hassan, Mr. Abbas, and Maher. And first up, we'd like to ask Hassan to come on board and talk to us about some of the new networking solutions that there is within the infrastructure sector. Hassan, thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Hassan Bazzi. I am the sales manager for Commscope Enterprise Solutions, looking after Qatar market. I have around 15 years experience in this industry, out of which 7 years are with Commscope. Actually, today I complete my 7th years with Commscope. I joined in September 15, 2013. Today I'm going to speak to you about how Commscope can help in shaping the networks of the future. I will also give you a high-level introduction about network management through automated infrastructure management, or what we refer to as AIM, as well as I will give you an introduction about our powered fiber cable system. Connectivity is everywhere. As each one of us has a lot of future plans in his life, whether related to career, family, education, etc., the same should apply for our network. We need to be future-oriented when we plan for the network. This is because nobody can deny the fact that we are living in a world of technology. I would say it's to an extent that if we blink, we may miss something new. Nowadays, to build the right network is not a matter of choice anymore. It's a must in our industry. I would rather argue that infrastructure is like the architecture of the building, if not even more important. You cannot have a proper network without a proper infrastructure. In order to better understand the importance of right network, we need to see and feel its impact on our daily life. Here are some interesting statistics about what happens in 1 internet minute. We can see that in 60 seconds only, there is around 4.1 million Google searches, 764,000 hours watched on Netflix, $1.1 million spent online, and 190 million emails sent. These numbers are expected to grow more and more with year after year. I believe that all of us here, we agree that the world has changed a lot after COVID-19. COVID-19 played a significant role in increasing the online digital activities. Some figures as of July 2020, we can see that the number of global internet users has approached around 4.57 billion, which means that around 59% of the global population are using the internet. It's 8.2% year-over-year growth in the number of internet users. The average amount of time spent daily on internet is 6 hours, 42 minutes per user. Nevertheless, the graph below shows us as well the increase in the number of internet users year after year. We can see that the expectations is to approach around 6 billion users by 2022, and it will grow up to 7.5 billion users by 2030, which means it will be around 80% of the total global population. These numbers are really big. That's why we need to be ready from today. No matter how much there is to deal with today, sure, it will be growing for more and more tomorrow. Enterprise networks are becoming harder, not easier, with more technologies such as wired Ethernet going from 1 gig to 2.5, 5, approaching 400 gig, with more devices powered by power over Ethernet, indoor and outdoor Wi-Fi going from 5 to 6 to 6E, Internet of Things invading our world, cellular becoming an enterprise technology, cloud implementation models, etc. All these will be needed to support more applications and fulfill the demands of the customers for being connected all the time and everywhere with rapid deployments, security, and sustainability. For this, you deserve a network that is simple, reliable, and adaptable. At Commscope, we simplify designs and deployments. Dealing with one vendor versus multiple will simplify the contacts and supply relationships. Commscope will hold full responsibility for compatibility between infrastructure elements without any finger pointing if any problem occurs. Our global tech support is always available to assist with designs and options to be considered. We have a global footprint, and our global partner network provides local design, planning, deployment, and support. All Commscope products are designed, manufactured, and tested up to the latest standards. We constantly invest in emerging technologies to be sure that we are protecting your network investment and to ensure flexibility to meet the changing needs. Commscope is a large and established global company. We had around $8.3 billion sales in 2019. We have 15,000 patents, more than 10,000 partners in more than 150 countries. We invest yearly $800 million in R&D, and we have 55 supply chain locations. We play a central role in every major type of network, whether it's venue and campus, broadband network, outdoor wireless, or home networks. Nevertheless, our latest acquisition last year of Aris and Rakis Solutions, it helped us to create an unparalleled portfolio for enterprises. So now we can provide an end-to-end solution covering both infrastructure and networking for any project. Automated infrastructure management, or what we refer to as an AIM. The network, as we are all aware, is becoming an essential element in our daily life. It's even considered nowadays as a utility, and thus it needs to be managed properly. At Commscope, we provide an automated infrastructure management that we call it Envision, that will help you to control and monitor your network efficiently. So, what's Envision? Again, Envision is an automated infrastructure management system that will help IT departments make network connectivity decisions in real time. Management capabilities in such systems ensure that the infrastructure is fully documented, monitored, and ensuring highest efficiency and availability. All the changes in your connectivity will be captured and recorded in the database, ensuring an up-to-date and accurate information in the physical layer. The AIM was published as a standard in October 2016 with 4 main key requirements. These are the ability to document cabling infrastructure, to be able to automatically detect the insertion and removal of patch cords, the ability to discover network devices that are connected to the network and combine this information with cabling data to be able to track the physical location of these devices, and the ability to generate real-time notifications whenever connectivity changes happens. What are the Envision components? We have the intelligent copper and fiber patch panels. We have the Envision controller, which will be installed or fixed inside the rack. And we have the management software. I will just give you a brief idea about the panel functionality from Commscope. It's modular design, field upgradable without disruption of network services. I would say that what we faced in a lot of projects, sometimes you don't have the budget to invest in intelligent cabling. We offer what we call intelligent ready patch panel. Later on, if you need to upgrade to fully intelligent, all what you need to do is to buy the upgrade kit. As you can see here in the picture, you will plug it on top of the patch panel without moving any patch cord. The network will not be down and your system will be fully intelligent. We have a sensor on each port. This is the technology, how it works. It's a microprocessor infrared sensor on each port. So it works what we call it on light technology. There is an LED on top of each port. And there are the port buttons, which will help you in doing the tracing. Some of the key features for this system, I would say the first one is circuit tracing, since it will give you the ability to provide complete end-to-end connectivity. Again, any changes are automatically reported in real time. This capability also has been helpful in generating reports for custom audits. It will help in eliminating the need for mutual checks, and it will simplify the complete process. Another interesting feature, which is mainly related to OSP environment, the system will help you to locate objects and do the documentation in electronic way for conduits, splice closures, street cabinets, manholes, etc. And all these can be then integrated on Geo or Google Maps. Electronic work orders. This will give you the ability to create the work orders remotely so that the technician will be able to identify the required task easily. Any changes are documented, alarm notifications can be sent to ensure that the physical layer security is there. So you can see here from the pictures that once you create the order, a light will blink on the patch panel on the side. So when the technician will go, he can directly identify where the jobs need to be done. You can see also on the LCD screen of the controller, on the right bottom corner, it will show you the full details for the end-to-end connection. It will show you which building, which patch panel, which room, which floor, which port. So it will give you all the details needed to do the job efficiently. The Envision System Manager, it's very easy. You don't need any special software to install it. You can use a normal browser. It's secure, powerful. You can view the entire network or change the view in a click. Again, it will help you do all the automated documentation to monitor the connectivity changes, do the end-to-end circuit tracing, OSP documentation. It will give you the full ability to control and monitor your network remotely. So in brief, to summarize, why Envision? It will help you in the guided patching, security, analytics, and documentation. It will give you the ability to locate devices and problems when they exist, to enhance change management, simplify audits and compliance, improve process and efficiency, monitor and control all sites globally from one location. The last topic for me to cover today is powered fiber cable system. What is powered fiber cable system from Commscope? I will try to make it very simple and easy. Generally, when we have any PoE, PoE Plus, or any other device that needs to be installed on a distance more than 100 meters, you need to consider fiber instead of copper to be able to support your application. Saying that, you need to run a fiber cable, separate power cable, use media converter, do splicing on the side, and then fit all this into a small box or cabinet to protect the equipment. This is what we refer to as the traditional way for such installations. With Commscope, we are going to simplify it for you. So this is how the traditional installation on site will look like. You will see a small cabinet or box having a power supply, power socket, power cable, UPS, splice tray, media converter, etc. All this to power your camera, for example. With Commscope, all this will be converted to this small box, which we call it a PoE extender. So this solution, it has three main components. The PoE extender, which I showed in the previous slide, the hybrid cable, and the power supply. Talking a bit about the PoE extender, it's an IP67 rated, so you don't need to put it in another cabinet or another box. It's NEC class 2 and SELV compliant, so no electricians needed. It's available in one as well as two outputs. It has a built-in media converter as well as power management and voltage regulator. This will help you to automatically correct the voltage drop over distance, to convert the optical signal and the input power to RJ45, and to automatically correct the polarity. So the input will be from the fiber cable, the media conversion, splicing, everything will happen inside this box, and you will get your output as RJ45 to connect it to your device. The hybrid cable, it's a fiber cable running with two copper conductors to power this cable. It can be from 2 up to 12 core. It can be indoor, outdoor, outdoor, low smoke, zero halogen, single mode or multi-mode. The copper is available in 12 AWG as well as 16 AWG. It's very flexible due to the stranded conductors. No special tools needed as it's designed for easy peel, so it will make your life easier on the site. The last component in this system is the power supply. This will be installed in the rack together with the fiber panel and your switches. It's a DC power supply. Each power supply can power up to 32 devices. It gives class 2 output. It needs a rectifier that will take the input AC volt and convert it to DC volt. And each rectifier can support up to 2 power supplies. What are some applications for this solution? It's applicable for optical LAN, cameras, Wi-Fi access point, small cells, or any similar devices. If the device itself is a PoE or 15 watt, this solution will support up to 3 kilometers without any issues. If the device is PoE plus or 30 watt, it will support up to 1.6 kilometers. And if the device is 60 watts, the solution will support up to 650 meters. To summarize the benefits of this solution, the powered fiber solution will give you 30 times the distance of PoE. It will eliminate the local power sources. It will be a centrally located UPS, SELV and NEC class 2 compliant. It will eliminate the extra conduits and transformers. Moreover, it's important to note here that now Commscope can provide the end-to-end solution, as in addition to the PoE extender, powered fiber cable, and power supply, we can also provide the switch and Wi-Fi access points from Ruckus. And by that, you will have an end-to-end solution with the warranty from Commscope. Here are some examples about installation examples, I would say. We can see that this solution is applicable for campus, airport, city metro style deployment, railway and military examples. So I would say it has a lot of places where you can make use of this solution. Also, this is a picture from one of our installations in the region. You can see the PoE extender fixed on the pole under the camera. Just to let you know that we are feeling that the market are willing to accept this solution. We started to have good references, I would say, in the region, and it's going in the right direction. That's all for me. Thank you for your time. And always remember, we are there to help you. I'll be available at the end of this session to take your questions. And even after this webinar, please feel free to reach to me at any time, and we will be happy to help you. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks so much, Hassan. Very interesting to understand some of your unique products. Abbas, you have a very interesting subject to talk about. We hear so much about the 5G network that's being rolled out around the world. A lot of spotlight in that discussion today. But how do we move forward with unified networks, high-speed data communications? What's the solutions here for our infrastructure projects? Abbas?
Thank you very much. Thank you all for attending this webinar, for the chance to present to you our exciting portfolio of Wi-Fi 6 access point and the unified management platform that we offer from Ruckus Commscope. So after what Hassan mentioned, thank you, Hassan, for this interesting presentation about the infrastructure part. We move to what completes the network infrastructure, which is the Wi-Fi component. We know that now most of the employees are using Wi-Fi. Most of users are no more on cables when it comes to their own devices, whether it's smartphones, tablets, laptops. And now most of the laptops come without the Ethernet plug. So everything is moving fast to the Wi-Fi technology or wireless. And as you mentioned, Phil, in fact, we've heard a lot lately about the 5G rollout and how it's impacting or causing the COVID, which technically, in my opinion, has nothing to do with any impact on this. So the 5G technologies, which is related to the telecom providers, compares to now what we have is the Wi-Fi 6, the IT side, which most of the people are using. And now we see the increase in the Wi-Fi, expecting by 2021 that 70% of the employees will be on Wi-Fi mainly. So here comes the importance of that. And the Wi-Fi comes in different flavors. We've seen how it was increasing from the Wi-Fi A, B, G, N, and all the different norms and standards, reaching to the AC, which is the Wi-Fi 5, and now the Wi-Fi 6, which also called the Wi-Fi AX, delivering much higher speeds and bandwidth, allowing us to benefit from the high demand and how to answer this requirement of video on demand, webinars like what we're having now, displaying to everyone, being able to have high quality videos, audio without any delays. All this requires the whole network to be at certain level to deliver all this. And the Wi-Fi that we're using is the last part of it, which we want to make sure that it's really at the best. And this is where Wi-Fi 6 comes in the picture to provide a very high demanding networks. So when we talk about the Wi-Fi 6 or the AX, we talk about the access point that are deployed, but also in order to avoid bottlenecks in the network, it comes the whole network infrastructure that could be done right away or in phases. We talk about the switches. So far, we've been using 1 gig switches or even less sometimes. But with the Wi-Fi 6 APs that can deliver up to 2.5 gigs, we would require a switch that can also handle that kind of speed when our devices are, or multiple devices connecting at the same time. We're not talking about only one device, but imagining a place with 50, 60 people like schools, universities, offices, large venues where people are connecting at the same time, they would have very high bandwidths. So the switches also should comply, and the cables. So the infrastructure cables could be upgraded to provide this kind of bandwidth requirements. So the Wi-Fi 6 access points from Ruckus that was recently launched about a year ago cover all the portfolio of the APs, starting with the R750, which is a 4x4 AP, and it was one of the first APs that has been launched in the world. One more info, this particular AP, R750, has been used as a testing AP to certify other Wi-Fi 6 devices by the IEEE Alliance, the organism and entity that certifies Wi-Fi products. So this particular beautiful AP that you see here has been used for that test. It's been launched about less than a year ago. We have the other flavors of that, R650, and the outdoor APs as well on the Wi-Fi 6 portfolio. We can see here that one access point can handle up to 1,000 clients simultaneously and deliver up to 2.5 gigabit per second, or even 5 gigabit per second if you talk about the R850, which is a 12 by 12 access point. This is a beast where we can have a stadium with a lot of people connecting. I know now with the pandemic, we're still not yet reaching having that many people in the same place connected to one AP, but in the outdoor environments, we see that a lot. We also have the mid-range R550 for most of the venues that I'm gonna give you some of the example how we can distribute these different flavors of APs, whether it's an indoor and outdoor, even specialty access point that we offer mainly for hospitality or other venues. We start from the value with the good prices, good offers, to the mid-range, 2x2, 3x3, or even 4x4, and with a very high-end range access points up to 12x12 radio streams. So we cover all the portfolio of the Wi-Fi devices from Wi-Fi 5 until 6. This is a quick overview of how and which AP we can use depending on what are we covering, what are deploying, whether it's in education, covering the classroom, having multiple users, whether it's a cafe, it's a shared public area, lecture hall, auditorium, having many people there presenting using wireless projectors, laptops, tablets, many devices at the same time. We go for the high end that can take a lot of devices. Hospitality, we have the rooms, we have the corridors, we have the main areas. Also, we have one AP dedicated for each type of location. And of course, we can use any of our AP in all the places, just adjusting the size and the capacity of it. We talk about public venues, stadiums, for example. Ruckus have deployed many of the big stadiums. The FIFA World Cup, for example, in Brazil was fully on Ruckus, even before the Wi-Fi 6. Now, with the Wi-Fi 6, even better capacity and coverage. So every type of deployment, we have an answer to that. What makes Ruckus unique? The Wi-Fi technology is not only about how many people can connect. We can measure the performance of an access point or a Wi-Fi technology when we have a real load on it. If no much load, any performing access point can deliver what is needed. But once we start having people connecting to it, using it with a high usage, then we can see the efficiency and the performance of the AP. And this is a small diagram showing us how Ruckus responds to loaded networks. We can see the blue one here is during load of data, what happens to the AP, what happens to devices that are efficiently able to connect with a usable throughput. We see Ruckus compared to a competition, for example, different brands. This has been tested by third-party entities who have done these tests, extensive stress tests showing that. Again, one of the nice features of the Wi-Fi 6 APs from Ruckus is that they come mostly embedded with the IoT technologies, the sensor technologies that are used in different smart environment devices like a Bluetooth, low energy, the Zigbee, the Z-Wave, the LoRa, all these nice technology or protocols that are independent of the Wi-Fi are now becoming a part of this world where the Wi-Fi access point becomes a gateway for your other sensors. Instead of investing in gateways and sensor gateway devices to provide you a smart home, smart hotel, smart school, the Wi-Fi access point from Ruckus can deliver that, which will reduce your cost drastically. My colleague Maher is going to talk to you about the IoT part later on after my presentation. One very important aspect of Ruckus access point, which no one else has in the market, is the fact that any Ruckus access point can be used in any environment when it comes to the controller part. It could be a wireless controller or wired control as well on the cloud, on premise, physical, virtual. I'm going to talk to you about that. It can be unleashed, which is the standalone APs. So the same access point does not need to be changed to operate in all these modes. The beamflex technology, which is our registered patent, and this is what made Ruckus Wireless unique, is the ability of the wireless antennas within the access point to deliver a very smart way of sending the signal in terms of radio frequency. You would wonder why Ruckus is better than the others. It is the software and the hardware all together that deliver this unique performance. We have this beamflex technology that is able to smartly adjust and adapt to every single user for every single packet when they are moving around and receiving the signal. It will adjust with their quality of signal, and it will be able to send on a different channel or different signal or different phase in order to enhance the received signal strength and hence give a better quality. So we can see here a comparison with the coverage provided by a Ruckus access point compared to any other competitor in the market. So this means that a better efficiency and better coverage from Ruckus means that the client requires a much lower number of APs to deliver the same coverage. If we take, for example, a school or a hospital or a venue or a company, the access points needed from Ruckus is much less than any other competitor in the market. We have seen examples where we can go up to 40 or even 50% lower number of APs. So we don't take a look only at the price of the access point, but we look at the price of the whole solution. And this also means we are reducing the cost of the Wi-Fi solution, but which means also reducing the cost of the switches, lower number of switches required, lower number of cables, lower number of licenses, support, deployment. So the whole solution will have a cost that is decreased considerably compared to any other competitor. So a common mistake that can be done sometimes is comparing one AP from our competition to one AP of Ruckus, which is not the best practice to do. The best is to compare the whole solution where we can see a decrease in the total cost. This brings us to the wired and wireless unified management. So Ruckus offers the Wi-Fi, but also provides the switches that come with it to complete the portfolio and finally have it integrated with the passive component of the cables. So the SmartZone from Ruckus, which is a beautiful, unique solution, can deliver a very highly scalable solution to manage and control and troubleshoot your network on the Wi-Fi and on the switching part. So wireless and wired components can be both managed by this single unique platform. And this platform can come into different shapes, virtual or physical, on-premise or in the cloud. Showing you here a brief of it. So if we talk about the appliance, some people want to have the physical server from Ruckus. They can deploy it in their environment, let's say a school, a hotel, a government entity, any company. They can have it on premise for each site. We have the SmartZone 300 as well, which is a very highly scalable controller that can take up to 30,000 access points and about 500,000 clients per cluster. We can cluster them and having redundant. This is mainly used by operators, service providers. These two physical appliances that can be installed on premise or remotely, centrally, come also in a virtual flavor, which can be installed on any platform in the cloud, private cloud like Amazon's, Microsoft, Google, any cloud platform or virtual environment, but can also be installed on a physical server running any of the virtual environments. VMware, Hyper-V, and so on. And this virtual SmartZone allows the clients to have the flexibility to deploy them wherever he wants. Same, they can scale up to 30,000 access points with the high scale SmartZone, and can allow the client to manage their switches and their Wi-Fi. With Ruckus, we have a unique thing that also is not available in many of our competitors, is that we deliver all the features required in the SmartZone without having to tunnel back the data. So for security reasons, the data can stay locally if we have a central controller, a central SmartZone, allowing us to manage all our sites from one single location, one single installation, without having to tunnel back the data traffic. Only the management traffic will be tunneled, which will decrease the capacity of the internet lines that are used. No need for VPNs anymore or MPLS networks to tunnel back the data traffic and have bottlenecks when we have a high number of people connected. So this is, again, an amazing features part of Ruckus. One nice thing, again, about the wireless and wired management platform, we don't call it wireless controller anymore. We call it a management platform or network manager, is that we have from one single dashboard the view of everything that is happening in the network, in the wireless and wired environment. We can see the clients, we can see the devices, the users, the switches. Now we can take a look, for example, of the switches connected. We can see the access point, manage them, do all the configuration remotely. We can manage every single port of the switch, do the configuration upgrade, updates, without having to go on site to do that, which will decrease the load of the IT managers, make the life much easier. We have components as well that allows them to troubleshoot the network, what is happening. Sometimes the IT managers don't know that there's a problem. However, the SmartZone will smartly detect if there's an issue in the network with a tool that we integrate to it, a software piece of tool that can detect issues in the switches, for example, and automatically open tickets with our support, which is a unique feature, again, that makes the IT manager's life much easier. When some of the employees come to them and suffering from Wi-Fi connectivity, we don't know where the problem comes from. It could come from the user device, from the Wi-Fi access point, the switch, the cable, the gateway, anywhere. So this SmartZone intelligently is able to tell us and give us hints on where the problem could be coming from, and inform our support specialists to better and faster help the clients. Here, this brings us to the Ruckus IoT suite that will complete our portfolio of controllers. So the Ruckus IoT, Internet of Things, many people would say, what is Internet of Things? Everything should be connected. Here we have from the cable connected devices to different kind of protocols, the Zigbee, the LoRa, the Wi-Fi, the Z-Wave, all of this delivering us with a very high scalable network for location-based services, for surveillance, for management. We can imagine any type of connected home, connected school, connected hospital, where all the devices can be managed remotely. So these will be the components of our IoT suite, and it is compatible with our Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 5. And it's an open access IoT suite that allows third-party products to be integrated. It's not a closed environment, which will give the customer the flexibility to add his own devices that are compatible with our platform. And we keep adding devices that are following the protocol standard. Here we have the IoT ready APs. So an AP that is IoT ready, which is compatible with IoT devices, and we plug a module. We have the SmartZone controller, and we have the IoT controller. All this will give us an IoT ready network. With the Wi-Fi 6, again, these modules of BLE, Zigbee, or Z-Wave are embedded and integrated into the access point. So no need to purchase any external dongle. But if a customer already has our access points, his investment is protected if he has a Ruckus IoT ready AP, which most of them provide starting from the 5 series, for example. He can simply get a dongle, plug it, and he have an IoT ready access point. So here it will help users connecting their devices, whether it's a fridge, a thermostat, lights, plugs, asset tracking, any use case you can imagine of Ruckus can help connecting it. My colleague Maher after me will tell you more details about the use cases in the IoT part, especially in hospitality and education. And that will be it for my presentation. Thank you very much.
Let's hand over to Maher, who's going to talk about something that is very, very interesting and something that I'm quite passionate about, and that's the IoT. We hear about IoT so often. I was explaining to the team the other day that I did a survey and asked 50 people, what does IoT mean? And not many people could actually give me an answer. And so we hope that Maher might explain what the Internet of Things will look like in the future. Maher, why don't you talk to us about the Internet of Things, especially in this area of hospitality and education?
Good afternoon, Phil. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. Certainly, IoT, Internet of Things, buzzwords that we've been hearing right now for over a decade. It's a result, or it's a baby of what started almost 2 decades back of being smart, and how organizations started to think differently about processes, people. Now, what the simplistic term of IoT, Internet of Things, is machines talking to machines or devices talking to devices. It's allowing sensory devices, not new, they've always been existing, but in a different format. And it allows us to inhibit or get or monitor better results from those. Now, since they're centrally managed, they're talking to each other. And this is where we come in, yeah? So through the course of my presentation, I'm going to go a little bit over the slides that Abbas covered just to put things into perspective. And then as a result, I'll talk about the use cases. All right. So there is a survey that's been done, and the forecast for all the IoT devices, as you can see, it will almost take around 50% of the internet devices connected, or devices connected to the internet. Around 50% of the devices will be IoT, and that's not something. It's not a surprise. We've always been using those devices, as I said, it's just in a different medium. So those devices usually operate over Zigbee, Z-Wave, LoRa, and they all used to have different infrastructures. And this was the challenge in IoT, or that hindered the growth of IoT so much. Now we come to Wi-Fi 6, something that we've started in Wi-Fi 5 before. A quick statistic here, in the US, they are installing panic buttons for the security of the staff. There has been a lot of harassment cases. So they are using the IoT as some sort of a personal security device in hotels. And that's something we expect to roll out in EMEA as well. In universities, as you know, vaping has taken over the smoking industry, and they're also installing sensory to basically detect where has been any vaping smoke sensors. I don't want to stop much on the statistics because I want to talk about the evolution of the network. So as my colleague mentioned, and I think we all agree that when Steve Jobs announced the Apple devices, our lives are not the same anymore. So usually sorry. Yeah, so as I said, IoT devices usually operate in silos. There's IoT gateways, whether it's Z-Wave or Zigbee, Bluetooth, and that results in expensive infrastructure for the owners to roll out all those functions. So sometimes they used to opt out of such features because they think it is nice to have and not necessity. And that's not true anymore because our lives and our applications, everybody is connected today to the internet, and they expect to have things right on the spot. Now, 2 years back, we had an idea of what if we can converge all of this and provide with our Wi-Fi the ability to aggregate and connect all those devices into our access points, which means that from an owner point of view, a developer, they will have only to buy the Wi-Fi, which is a necessity because they cannot run without Wi-Fi today in 2020. And that access point has the capability of also providing you or extending services that wasn't at their expense. Yeah. So this is the slide that my colleague shared, and we can see how the convergence now, a single cable from Commscope, is running different technologies. So now that we have all this converged infrastructure in place, the possibilities are limitless, really, to what any organization can deploy in terms of services or use cases. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about specifically about hospitality and about education, because we think those are the most two verticals that are benefiting from IoT to our date. Of course, smart cities are there. So I'm gonna skip this because my colleague already covered it in good detail. So what use cases are we looking at? So building management, it's not a new jargon. It's been there for decades. But again, it used to operate in a different silos. Building management, guest room management, all that sort of stuff. Now, imagine that all those technologies, all the systems are integrating with each other, and you are able to set rules to toggle a switch because somebody walked into a building, or turn off the HVAC because somebody left the room. Yeah. Asset tracking, it's there today. It used to operate on something called RFID before. Now it's operating over Zigbee or Bluetooth Low Energy, the beacons. The physical security as well. Imagine that the cameras now has a mind of their own because of all the sensory that you can install around the building. Yeah. And then the telemetry, wayfinding, and so on. So we're going to go into more detail about the use cases. As I said, this is just the general brief now. So the panic button, if you remember the first slide I shared, is where the US are rolling out. This presentation keeps running. So the panic button is a small device, wearable device that the staff in the US this keeps on going. Okay. So it's a small wearable device where the staff can trigger an alarm whenever they get harassed. And this alarm will report back to the central security system, security guards. So can you tell me how can I stop this from moving forward, please? I'm not sure. Hello? I don't know, it's just keep going. Okay, so I'm gonna skip fast. ASA Abloy is a worldwide industry leader in providing door locks. Again, what we're providing here is not the capability of, or we're not providing a door lock, we're just enabling the door lock to be smart, to be online. ASA had their own online door lock system, but it was a separate system by itself. Now, and it used to require a gateway. Now, Wi-Fi access points are operating as the medium for this door lock and provide connectivity for that door lock, which means, and during my discussions with a lot of hotel owners, they used to opt out of such feature. And they say, I don't want to have an online door lock system because it costs me so much to deploy that extra infrastructure or overlay technology. Now, since Ruckus has this capability in their access points and I'm already buying the Wi-Fi, why not? It provides a lot of operational enhancement to the hotel. Definitely the hotel operations are more interested in this than the hotel IT team because it makes their life easier, right? They make, for example, imagine how many times you've been to a hotel and your key card stopped working because you've extended your stay. Usually after the checkout time, your key will stop working and then you have to go down all over the way to the lobby and then ask the reception to please extend your key card so you can get your stuff. Now that is just as easy as a button click with an online door lock system, which means that all the door locks have a mind now that you are able to monitor. Similarly, from a security point of view, it also gives the hotel an idea when was the door closed, when was the door opened, who opened the door, depending on which key card had been used, as well as if you think about it from a fire point of view. So God forbid, maybe there has been a fire in a hotel. and rather than the fireman knocking down all the door locks, you can easily unlock the door, or the building management system can detect that there's a fire, for example, and trigger that all the door locks get unlocked, so nobody gets trapped inside. So this is when we talk about devices talking to devices. You can have a set of rules that can have different scenarios, and those devices will automatically work on their own. Mobile key definitely is also something that millennials are expecting today. Today, imagine that I no longer have to carry my key card. I use an application over my phone that will give me the ability to open the door from my phone. Yeah. Coming to Smart Campus, which is a bigger view, and really Smart Campus can be anything. It could be smart hospital, could be a smart university, a smart city, you name it. The technology is there, and depends how we want to use it. So we have locationing, video surveillance, and smart lighting. And I have to be to note something here. Ruckus are not providing the solution. Ruckus is providing or paving the road for those companies, for those startups, so they can integrate. So we're providing the medium only. And as my colleague said, it's an open system. We do have API certifications and tests with different vendors and solutions. They are happy to deploy our solutions on the campus. So for example, location-based services, imagine that you are a student on your orientation day, and you want to know where the library is, and you can easily, because of all the beacons distributed across the university, you can easily have a blue dot tracking on your mobile device. It's like having your own personal Google Maps, but for within the building. We all know that Google Maps work only on the roads, but this is a solution for in the building. As well, the solution also works for asset tracking. Lots of cases, if you in the hospitals, it's a big case in the hospital where you have the IV pumps. A lot of IV pumps get like maybe a floor or a ward has 2 or 3 IV pumps, for example, and the nurses wants to locate exactly where the IV pump is, which room, and that will give them better time or quicker time to serve the patients. Smart Campus, this is a gym, for example, use case for the gym, where it gives a lifetime tracking of the person who wants to attend to the gym to see what's the availability of the gym. We live in Dubai. I mean, we walk into a mall, and then we always see those green dot or red dot when you want to park. And this is something which Dubai government, like a smart initiative, they were very quick on that wagon. The malls started deploying those solutions because to eliminate or to reduce traffic when finding a car parking, because you don't need to go to that aisle if it's all red and create congestion. So that's also one way of thinking about it. So this is another solution for the gym, where it shows you that this machine or this tool, it's occupied or not. So we have a lot of ecosystem partners. We call them ecosystem partners. ASA Abloy for the connected entry, Contact.io for the beacon and asset tracking system, and then Track and Protect for the staff alert panic buttons, Telconet for energy management, environmental sensors, and vaping detection for software. And with that, I conclude my presentation, and Phil, back to you.
Thanks so much, Maher. Very, very interesting subject when we start talking about the Internet of Things. I have a friend of mine who says it's great that we collect all this data, but so what? What do we do with the information? What do we do with the data? And your job is the backbone to make sure that that data collection has the integrity necessary for us to use the data efficiently within our future business elements and business planning. So thanks very much for your presentations. Very interesting. And so we have a couple of questions. If you do have any questions, then please jot it down. We'll just take a few minutes while we have the panel together to review some of those questions. Somebody asked a question with regard to Wi-Fi 6 development from another company. I guess many industry players are very hard at work producing new products, but how confident, guys, are you with the development of your new hardwares for Wi-Fi 6 to remain a cutting-edge supplier to the industry?
Very good question. Thank you, Phil. So yes, in fact, many of the competitors have already started manufacturing, deploying, selling Wi-Fi 6. Deploying, I wouldn't say much, but yes, they started promoting the Wi-Fi 6. To be honest with you, I also heard in the market people saying that Ruckus doesn't have Wi-Fi 6. Just to tell you one important fact, Ruckus was the first AP in the world to deploy a Wi-Fi 6 device in December 2018, and it happened to be in Dubai. To tell you more precisely, in Sofitel de Palm. Maher, my colleague, knows very well this project. So it was an R730 Wi-Fi 6 device, 12 by 12. It was deployed in 2018 December. So that was the first Wi-Fi 6 gone in a live environment. And Ruckus has been the pioneer in that, and the Wi-Fi 6 deployment at all levels. So we started with the high end. Some of the competitors started maybe with the lower ones, but we decided to go from top to bottom because the Wi-Fi 6, in our view, was targeting the main places like venues requiring very high density and capacity requirements. That is why we started with the R730, and then 750, 650, and 550 finally now, and the H. So even we are releasing Wi-Fi 6 APs for the hospitality sector, which are the wall-mounted APs. So we are going at a very high speed. We've already deployed Wi-Fi 6 networks in different countries. We are truly, if not one of the pioneers in this field, with I would say with a strong gap compared to others. Any others you would name. That's my personal view and the deployments we've done in the region, especially here in Middle East area.
Thank you. Thanks so much, guys. Why don't you just unmute yourself and show us your camera? You guys are all good-looking fellas. And we can talk about some of these points. We've got a few minutes. We've got a few minutes to go. So, guys, what do you think about the next generation? We talk a lot about 5G. It's not even here yet. But what's the future for this speed? This data space? Is 5G going to be good enough for us now? What are some of the concerns that we see as we move forward with this?
So maybe I'll answer this one since it's related to the wireless world. I'll leave Maher and Hassan answer the other questions. So we have always seen two worlds going in parallel. The mobile operators world, where you have the GSM back in the days, and then 2G, 3G, 4G, even like before the 4G 3.9, which we call LTE sometimes. And in parallel, we had the Wi-Fi, A, B, G, N, AC, and now 6. So two worlds have always been going together. I remember maybe 6, 7 years ago or 8 years ago where we started to have the 4G deployments, and people say like, now who are gonna use the Wi-Fi anymore? We all have the mobile, like we have the 4G or we had the 3G, wow. When you look at it now, all the requirements are increasing exponentially so fast that the technology should follow. So the requirements are increasing. But what happened today with the pandemic, we realized how sensitive it could be if we don't have a proper bandwidth speed that can deliver the requirement that we need. Everybody connected, video on demand. Some providers had to tune their service, like Netflix, for example. The quality of their videos had to be adjusted so that they can send the feed to all the people when they were overloading the network. Everybody's at home at high speed. So they were not even using the cell towers outside, which is the 5G connectivity. They needed their indoor APs at home to deliver them all this connectivity. Some of them were using very basic devices that were not made for such very high demand download of very high, big sizes files. So you will see this, the 5G one you mentioned, which we don't have yet. It will take a while. And the Wi-Fi 6 is picking up, and we see the trend and how many people are using their, we call offloading. So we're offloading from the 5G to the Wi-Fi network. And that's why the Wi-Fi goes, that's my opinion, it's a much higher speed in terms of deployment, in terms of availability, in terms of speed, quality, because it's like you have the whole AP for yourself, for your environment, for your indoor or outdoor environment, where the 5G cell tower would be covering maybe thousands or tens of thousands of people.
We've seen so much development of the video communications like we have now. We're on Wi-Fi, we're connected using a voice over IP webinar platform with Zoom. And we've all, whatever platform you're using, whether it's Teams or Zoom or Google, the amount of meetings that are held online today are really amazing. I think it's one of those things that we will take from COVID-19 era into the future. We just won't be meeting in person as much in the future. I think people will be driven to be more available to work from home. Management of our time is really important, and that goes the same with our data. That data needs to keep.
Now, allow me to say one thing, Phil. You can see me, I can see you. You see the quality. In 1 or 2 or 3 years, or a certain period of time, we're going to be remembering this quality, which we think it's amazing. It will be comparing the 4K Ultra HD quality TV compared to the black and white. This is the difference.
And right now, yeah, but right now, there were messages that I received. Others may have seen it, where Zoom has said, apologizing. Sometimes they have to restrict HD communication because of bandwidth concerns. So in the future, that won't be a concern, right? That's
it. So that's why the technology should move much faster than the normal pace. Even data center, maybe Hassan later will tell us about data center deployment. We have seen a very strong increase in the requirement because everybody's shifting to the cloud. And this requires strong data centers providing all this, the network infrastructure from the cabling perspective, switching perspective. So all this has just accelerated the technology deployment by 2 years. The phases that was being followed before and now has been accelerated much more.
So if we're accelerating at this rate, we have higher data speed transmissions. We have dramatically increased collection of data. What about this issue of storage? Is the industry moving forward with sufficient storage in the cloud, as you say? Hassan, do you have any comments on this?
No, actually, I want to comment on what Abbas was saying about the wireless part. All this, without a proper infrastructure, it will not work properly.
Exactly.
So wireless will never replace the wired solutions. And everywhere you still need to have proper infrastructure. So if we talk, for example, about offices, I'll go back to your question about what we expect the next generation speed. I would answer in terms of infrastructure, let's say. Currently, we can see that in offices, the backbone is supporting up to 10 gig. Definitely the plan moving forward is to reach 40 gig minimum. If we talk about horizontal cabling, currently it's 10 gig. We believe that this will be sufficient for at least the next 15, 20 years, because as we all see now, okay, we are supplying 10 gig horizontal cabling in the market, but nobody is getting the maximum benefit of this 10 gig. All the ports, for example, in your laptop or any other devices, it's still 1 gig, sometimes less. So you are not getting the benefit of 10 gig. So for the future, in offices, at homes, 10 gig still for horizontal. As Abbas mentioned about data centers, for data centers, it's completely different. There is a huge demand in traffic when we talk about the data centers. Currently, the speed supports up to 100 gig. The future, I would say, is going towards 400 gig as minimum, if not even more.
There was a time when Wi-Fi connection was a faster speed than mobile data connection. And even right now, there are people, I've had communications with people and they said, hang on a sec, let me just change to my mobile phone connection and I'll continue this call because the quality's better. Now we've got 5G. Is the infrastructure that we're building sort of keeping up with this level? Are you seeing new projects being specified with this high demand infrastructure today? Or
I'll take that question.
Design falling behind.
I don't know. I don't know if many are aware, but Commscope also as well has the in-building wireless department. So not only the Wi-Fi and the switches and the cabling, we also have the in-building wireless. And that means it's the telecom operators' antennas that provides the 5G connectivity. So we have another department which deals solely with service providers that are literally building those cell towers to provide the 5G connectivity. So if anybody can answer this question, it's no one better than us, because we have both elements. We have the access points and we have the 5G cell tower. Now, they go in coherence with each other. It's always been like this, and it's always remained like this. There are two different worlds, two separate worlds. They run parallel, yet you need to deliver almost at par the same experience, whether you're on mobile or you're on Wi-Fi. A lot of the cases when you walk into a mall, I don't know if this is a fact, Ruckus has the highest market share in service provider business on Wi-Fi. And you might ask, why would the service provider buy Wi-Fi access points? Because they deploy Wi-Fi in a mall, yeah, and they offload that density. So the biggest issue of Wi-Fi today that exists is not coverage, it is density and capacity. And this is where Ruckus access points excel at. Our access points are built for heavy connectivity. If you remember when Abbas was mentioning that this access point can cater for 1,000 connections. So what happens usually is a cell tower can cover a certain radius, and you deploy the cell towers across the metro, across the city, depending on the coverage, depending on the radiuses. Take Dubai Mall as an example. I'm pretty sure you've visited Dubai Mall many times where where suddenly your LTE dropped into less than 3G quality. And that has to do with the number of devices connected to a single cell tower. And basically that's how a cell tower can give you a number of net connections or a certain speed limit, yeah? So what happens usually is that the service provider usually offloads this traffic into the access points, and from the access points back into their data center operations. Yeah.
Okay.
They always go in parallel with each other. And I wanted to mention something about the previous note. We are having Zoom right now, video, right, and high def video, face to face, stuff like that. Tomorrow this will not be there anymore. This will be like, you know, as if we're using the wired phone, the one that we used to dial like this. Tomorrow, I believe the meetings will happen on AR. Augmented reality, virtual reality. And this is what I think has been the basis for 5G and the basis for Wi-Fi 6. That technology is so much hungry for bandwidth that requires proper infrastructure to support it. And that's the reason why you have not seen much of it yet. But that's coming. I mean, whether we like it or not, virtual reality is there.
You've thrown out two subjects here, virtual reality and AR, augmented reality.
Yes, yes.
Can you explain the difference?
So imagine people tomorrow wearing goggles, walking around the city with goggles, and rather than looking at your phone for a city guide, that is your augmented reality. You walk into a city and then you see the buildings. It will tell you what's a good restaurant, what's a good sandwich to eat there, what's the rating of this hotel. You're living in your own world. And for the virtual reality, you can watch, let's say, the FIFA World Cup, sitting from your home with a live experience into the stadium. But
Okay,
that
so
requires all
virtual
bandwidth.
reality is when you yourself step into a
A
digitized
world.
reality.
Yes,
Okay?
yes, yes.
And augmented reality is when we see or experience the real reality where we are now, but we're adding
With an overlay.
Yeah,
Overlay on it,
I
yes.
guess one of the best, easiest ways to explain that is the Pokemon game. Everyone knows
Exactly. Yeah, Pokemon Go, yeah.
augmented reality. So here are my kids walking around the streets looking for Pokemons because they're part of their reality today.
Yes.
So I mean, these two subjects are really interesting, and as we move in these directions, then we'll see some incredible developments. Do you guys ever remember three-dimensional websites, 3D worlds? Did you ever see this? There was an early development in website technologies where we would enter into this virtual reality, and it was a 3D website. We don't see these anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, like the Minecraft. They use the virtual shops. They used to call them virtual shops. You walk into a shop and then you look at the aisles, you look at the devices, you pick up the device, you see the 3D view of it. Yeah, the virtual shopping experience.
But you bring up gaming. I mean, I'm not a gamer, but many, a large sector of this world is really into gaming, and these games are just increasing the demand of data requirement today. And so, I mean, there is another industry that will just move forward in a new dimension when we have this increased infrastructure in place.
Sure.
Very good. Is Commscope working closely with third-party software integration? Do you have a department that is, specializing in this, software integrations within your products?
I will take this. See, it's not we are working closely with a third-party software. What we are facing, for example, when it comes to infrastructure in our intelligent solution, we've been asked a lot this question: can your software be integrated with other companies so that we will have full monitoring and control from one screen? Okay, this question is somehow tricky, I would say. Because first we need to identify what level of integration is needed. Integration is a big word. Integration, you can go deep in identifying and defining the integration levels which are needed. So I would say, generally speaking, our Commscope software for intelligent cabling, it's based on API open framework. It's compliant with the standards. We can provide what I'm not that technical. I don't want to go deep technical, but we can provide our REST API to third-party companies so that they can integrate it with their software. It will give you the level of monitoring from a separate screen, but not the full control. But the answer, yes, it can be integrated. I don't know if I answered your question or no.
No, it's very important. It's important for me to understand
Yeah,
how it all comes together. You know, you're not just out there on your own, but you're constantly integrating with the industry. You're developing technologies together. So often we see, you know, areas of development, and then nothing really happens.
Yeah.
Guys, just one quick question before we end, because we're heading up to the 12:15 mark, and we did say we'd be about an hour and 15 long. Tell us a little bit about Commscope. I understand that last year or the year before, you bought a couple of companies or merged with Ruckus and another company. How is this company structured today?
Yeah, see, this will show the strength of Commscope. We are always looking for the future of technologies to empower our portfolio so that we can have end-to-end solutions. As you mentioned, in 2015, we acquired a company called TE Connectivity. It gave us wider portfolio for some data center components, for fiber to the home, closures, to target a place where we were not existing strongly, I would say. Definitely with the acquisition of Ruckus last year, it gave us the portfolio of having now, we entered the networking side. I would say before we were always, people look at us as, okay, we have a division related to GSM, and we have the other division related mainly to infrastructure. Now we entered the networking, so we'll have full breadth of solutions, whether it's access points, switches, etc. It will give us more extent in the market, I would say. So we are targeting more customers, more projects. We have everything. We are not a company that is targeting only, we are looking for everything related to technology. We are growing bigger and bigger by this.
Well, fantastic. Well, I'm sure you'll continue to grow, and we'll see you more in the Middle East region. Commscope is a very strong international brand, and it's wonderful to hear from you and the rest of the team. Abbas and Hassan and Maher, thank you so much for your excellent presentations today. I'm sure everyone that's joined us has appreciated to understand more about Commscope.